Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Francis Oyima Edet, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu reveals plans to reposition education sector. Federal government to unveil national lifestyle charter for citizens. Plus, North Korea to deploy new weapons to border after successful launch of spy satellite. We will bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. First in the news tonight is a report that President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to revamp the education sector with a comprehensive 4-year strategic plan that would be put in place to guide the development of the sector. This plan, he added, would not only address the challenges facing the sector but also determine the future of education in the country. This is contained in the President's speech at the 35th convocation ceremony of the Yaba College of Technology, Yabatech, Lagos. Tinubu is a visitor to the college, was represented by the Director of Legal Services, Federal Ministry of Education, Ezanobi Azobo. He noted that the government was aware of the challenges of the sector, adding that the issues which include accessibility, equity, funding, teachers, capacity building, institutional management, and technical and vocational education were being addressed. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated motorized boreholes in Benue communities. Performing the ceremony, the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Gisalo, who represented the President, said the boreholes were funded by the National Lottery Trust Fund. He said the National Lottery Trust Fund had built a total of 19 motorized boreholes across the country, adding that 15 of them were located in Taka and Bogo local government areas of Benue State. He said the lottery has huge potential both as a wealth generator and its impact on the growth of the economy. Therefore, government was going to strengthen lottery legislation. In the meantime, the Vice President Kashim Shettima today presided over the 137th meeting of the National Economic Council held at the Council Chamber of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. A fourth in the Tinubu's administration, today's gathering comes nearly 2 months after the council last convened on September 28 to consider priority areas for the next 3.5 years, including economic stability, welfare and security, amongst others. In his opening address at the last NEC meeting titled Planning for Stability or Agenda for Economic Growth in 2024, Vice President Shettima reminded the governors and other members of NEC that the weight of the tough decisions to rescue Nigeria's economy depends on their cooperation and goodwill. NEC, a statutory body mandated to advise the President on the nation's economic affairs, is chaired by the Vice President, with the governors of the 36 states of the Federation, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, the Minister of Finance, and other stakeholders as members. Present at this month's sitting, which is likely to be the last for 2023, are all governors except those of Akwa Ibom, Kano, Lagos, Enugu, Osun, Borno, Nasarawa, and Adamawa states, who are represented by their deputies. And while the federal government has disclosed its plans to launch the National Lifestyle Charter, which will define the responsibilities of government and expectations from Nigerians, a Director General of the National Orientation Agency (NOA), Issa Onilu, disclosed this during a working visit and interactions with the agency staff in Ekiti State. Onilu said that the National Life Charter was aimed at instituting a well-grounded social contract where the citizenry had certain expectations of the country, and the country would in turn spell out what it wanted from Nigerians. According to him, the charter is not just going to be a mere document, but a well-institutionalized action framework for all Nigerians, with an emphasis on core values needed in building a patriotic ecosystem for sustainable growth and development. Away from that, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has ordered the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service (NCOS), Haliru Nababa, to investigate an allegation against personnel of the service. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff General Chris Musa had accused some NCOS personnel of conniving with inmates in finance operations of terrorists. The CDS at the House of Representatives on Tuesday claimed that some arrested Boko Haram terrorists could plan operations out in the field and pass funds across. In the wake of the allegation, the minister condemned the unpatriotic act by the personnel and vowed that anyone found capable would be brought to book. In the meantime, 83 Nigerian scholars departed the country for Morocco under the bilateral education agreement of the Federal Ministry of Education. At a pre-departure briefing in Abuja today, the Minister of Education, Tahir Maman, said that the selection of the scholars was in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. He said the ministry has further increased the number of its development partners, with many of them now offering scholarships to Nigerians. The minister advised the scholars to make their parents in Nigeria proud by being worthy ambassadors in the country of their study. Elsewhere, the federal government has said that it is dedicated to extending irrigation projects and reactivating dormant initiatives to improve food security in the country. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsef, said this during a familiarization tour to the Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority facilities in Agbala, near Owerri. Utsef stated that this ministry was looking into new ways and techniques of revitalizing the Lower Anambra Irrigation Project, LAIP, the largest rice irrigation project in the southeast. The minister urged respectable investors to increase their investment in the water industry, stating that President Bola Tinubu's administration was resolved to cultivate 500,000 hectares of irrigable land. In another development, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, is set to resign. The minister has collected his certificate of return from Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Recall that the Court of Appeal had earlier sacked People's Democratic Party Bali Napoleon and declared Lalong as the senator for Plateau South Senatorial Zone. From the Red Chambers, a bill seeking to establish an agency for the development of bitumen in Nigeria scaled second reading in the Senate today. The bill, titled Bitumen Development Commission of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2023, was sponsored by the Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, APC Ondo South. Jimoh, in his lead debate, said the bill, among other reasons, seeks to restrict the activities of the Commission to its regulatory and coordinating functions, specifically as it relates to the development of bitumen in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Senate has resolved to probe all tax waivers by the federal government from 2015 to date, just as it sought cancellation of those not directly linked to non-governmental or non-profit organizations. The Senate also ordered the deregistration of all subsidiaries to the Nigeria Postal Service being irregular and illegal identities and called for an investigation of the 10 billion naira released by the Ministry of Finance for the proposed NIPA's restructuring and recapitalization. The upper legislative chamber also sought stiff punishments, including jail terms for violators of finance law. The Senate made the resolution during the passage of the 2024-2026 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper. To the Green Chambers, where the House of Representatives is urging the federal government to expedite action on the prevention of flood disasters in Nigeria, intervene to provide relief to flood victims, monitor the management and prevention of flooding, and educate Nigerians on ways to prevent flooding. Following a motion by Sekiv Iyotum, the House today recognized that the flooding in the country was attributed to heavy rain and the impact of climate change, which deserve urgent, proper planning and proactive actions to prevent damages. The lawmakers are concerned that the prevalence of floods in Nigeria requires urgent attention, as delays could result in the destruction of houses and farms, food shortages, and humanitarian crisis. The House is also mandating its Committee on Water Resources to investigate the release of the 19.2 billion naira allocated for the devastating impact of flooding on farmlands across the nation. Elsewhere, the House Committee Chairman on National Planning and Economic Affairs, Ishaka Ibrahim, says the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, needs to be insulated from political interference to perform more effectively. Ibrahim said these at a public lecture to mark the 2023 African Statistics Day celebration in Abuja. He said the reliability of data from the NBS would be questioned if there was any form of political interference. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee Chairman on National Planning and Economic Affairs, Abdullahi Yahaya, said Nigeria had many challenges, including poverty, inflation, and accumulation of debt. Yahya added that NBS needed to provide reliable data to convince the executive and legislature of ways to address some of these challenges. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged the Nigerian Correctional Service (NCS) to give an account of inmates that escaped from the Kuje Medium Security Custodial Center in 2022. The House mandated its Committee on Reformatory Institutions, Interior and Police Affairs to liaise with the heads of the relevant security agencies to produce a comprehensive report on the status of the escaped inmates. The committees are expected to report back to the House within 6 weeks before the legislative action. Reports a member representing Ikono in the federal constituency of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Upamudo, sponsored the motion that led to the resolution of the House. Judicial matters. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the election of Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule. The appellate court also set aside the October 2nd judgment of the Nasarawa State Election Petitions Tribunal that sacked APC's Sule and declared David Umbagadu candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) winner of the governorship election. Delivering judgment, the three-member panel led by Justice Uche Chukwu Onyemanam held that the tribunal erred in law, concluding that Governor Sule did not win majority of the votes cast in the election. The court further held that the governor was denied fair hearing. So from the judiciary, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the judgment of the Gombe State Governorship Election Tribunal, which dismissed the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) challenging the re-election of Governor Inuwa Yahaya of the All Progressive Congress. Delivering judgment today, the court agreed with the tribunal that the PDP's case lacked merit. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had on March 18th announced Governor Yahaya of the APC winner of the governorship election with 342,821 votes. Mohammed Jabrin Badi of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) was said to have scored 233,131 votes. Badi had approached the tribunal insisting that the election of the governor did not comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act. Elsewhere, the Kogi off-cycle governorship election petition tribunal presided over by the President of the Court of Appeal COA Justice Manika Bolnan Dongban is set to convene on Saturday. David Umar Mike, Secretary of the tribunal, confirmed this announcement in Lokoja today. Usman Ododo of the All Progressives Congress APC won the November 11th election with 446,237 votes, while his closest challenger, Matala Jaka of the Social Democratic Party SDP, received 259,052 votes. In a separate development, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory FCT, Nyesom Wike, has warned residents against encroaching on school lands, saying the development will not be tolerated under his administration. He said these are also to guard against the breakdown of law and order in the FCT. Wike gave the warning today following an on-the-spot assessment of the teaching and learning condition at the Lee Primary School, Bagusa, a village in the Dede community of the Abuja Municipal Area Council AMAC. A school which was established by the past administration had about 200 pupils and 16 desks spread across 6 different classes, including a crèche. Wike, who spoke through the Mandate Secretary of Education, Dr. Danlami Hayo, also pledged the immediate building of classrooms for the pupils as well as a junior secondary school to ensure the easy transition of final year pupils to the next level. And still to come in the news, South Africa keeps rates steady. To stay with us.
Christmas season is here again. Are you aware that making your business or products visible on the television space gives your brand a wider visibility and patronage? In the spirit of the season, Spectrum Television is offering a whopping 25% discount on all services. Advertise your products and services while this offer lasts from 1st December 2023 to January 31st, 2024. We are a television with a passion to take your business and services on a satisfactory lane. You do not want to miss this opportunity. For more inquiries, visit our city office at number 2 Taft Plaza Close off Akaitinen Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, or call the following numbers on your screen. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon. For premium broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news around the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 12733. Visit our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of our news stories. In Africa, the UN's representative in South Sudan, Nicholas Haysom, has said at least 75 people have died in the past 2 weeks due to violence between rival communities in the disputed area of Abyei on the border between Sudan and South Sudan. He called on the government to investigate the attacks and reduce tensions. He also urged community leaders not to use violence as a solution. The report says there have been ongoing clashes between the Ngok and Twig communities over resources in Abyei. Earlier this week, the South Sudan Army was accused by a local leader of coordinating attacks with rival armed youths, allegations the military has denied. Still in Africa, Madagascar's incumbent president Andry Rajoelina appears to set to secure another term as he continues his commanding lead in the presidential election with votes from more than 3/4 of polling stations counted. Rajoelina currently leads with 59.7% of the vote, far ahead of his closest opponent, ex-president Marc Ravalomanana at 13.2% and Sitini Pandre Nasoloniako at 12.5%. Meanwhile, Madagascar's electoral body, SANI, has so far tallied votes from 21,000 out of 27,000 polling stations and is expected to announce the full result on Saturday. The tallied voting stations recorded a voter turnout of just 45%, considered to be one of the lowest voter turnouts in the island country's election history. Meanwhile, South Africa's opposition leader Julius Malema and 5 other members of parliament from his Economic Freedom Fighters EFF party have been punished with a 1-month suspension without pay from parliament. The Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee found them guilty of contempt of parliament for storming the stage during President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address in February. The committee noted that each suspended member must also make an apology in person in the House to the President, Speaker, and the people of South Africa for disrupting the President's address and putting the country in a bad light. They also added that the suspension of the 6 members of Parliament will run throughout the month of February next year. In the meantime, army in the Democratic Republic of Congo says it will punish any soldiers in contact with a largely Hutu rebel group linked to the 1994 Rwanda genocide. The army said anyone, regardless of rank, who breaks the ban on dealing with the FDLR militia would be arrested. The announcement follows pressure from the United States on both Congo and Rwanda to lessen tension between them. We head to Mali, where the military government has signed an agreement with Russia that includes a gold refinery project in the Malian capital, Bamako. The deal involves building the refinery to process 200 tons of gold annually. Reports say it is valid for 4 years and does not specify the timelines for the construction. Gold is Mali's leading export product by value and one of its largest contributors to economic growth, according to the country's mining ministry. The project will allow Mali to control all gold production in the country and correctly apply all taxes and duties, according to the finance minister Alassane Sanao. Mali has strengthened its relations with Russia in recent years, following the military coup in 2021 and the withdrawal of French forces from the country a year later. Meanwhile, Niger's military ruler General Abdourahmane Tiani today arrived in Mali to meet his counterpart Colonel Assimi Goïta in his first international visit since seizing power in July. Niger's neighbor Mali and Burkina Faso, which are ruled by military leaders, who seized power in 2020 and 2022 respectively, have pledged solidarity to Niger's coup leaders. The three Sahel countries in September signed a pact that includes provisions for mutual defense in the event of an attack on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of any of the countries. They also plan to strengthen economic ties. The regimes are also united in the fight against jihadism in their countries. On the foreign scene, net migration, popular in Nigeria as Japa, to the United Kingdom UK hit a record high of 745,000 in 2022. This is piling pressure on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who has vowed to reduce new arrivals. Immigration, a key political issue in Britain, is set to be one of the main battlegrounds in a general election expected next year. The Office for National Statistics, ONS, said net migration for last year was higher than previously thought. Net migration is the difference between the number of people leaving Britain and those arriving. It revised upwards by 139,000 from the previous record figure of 606,000 for 2022. ONS released the numbers in May, citing unexpected patterns in the behavior of migrants. The ONS added, though, that its estimate for the year to June 2023 was lower at 672,000. Meanwhile, Qatar's foreign ministry has announced today that a Gaza truce and hostage release will start on Friday morning. A pause in the fighting will begin at 7 a.m. local time, and the first batch of civilian hostages held in Gaza since October 7 is said to be handed over around 4 p.m. Friday. The announcement came shortly after the Israeli military confirmed that a director of Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital was being held for questioning over allegations that the facility was used as a Hamas control center. In a related development, Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health in Gaza is reportedly suspending cooperation with the World Health Organization (WHO), which had been helping to facilitate evacuations with the Al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. The announcement came following reports that the hospital's director had been arrested by the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) while evacuating part of a World Health Organization convoy. A ministry spokesperson, Ashraf Al-Qidra, said a WHO convoy from Al-Shifa in the north of the enclave had been stopped for several hours at a checkpoint operation by the IDF in central Gaza. Al-Qidra added that several medical staff had been arrested, including the director of Al-Shifa, Mohammed Salmiya. In the meantime, North Korea said today it would deploy new weapons and stronger armed forces to the border with the South, as Seoul's spy agency said Pyongyang had received Russian help to successfully put a military spy satellite into orbit. Tuesday's launch of the Malingyang-1 was Pyongyang's third attempt at securing a military eye in the sky after two failures in May and August. North Korean state media claimed within hours of the launch that leader Kim Jong-un was already reviewing images of U.S. military bases in Guam. Seoul's National Intelligence Service told lawmakers the launch had been a success, but cautioned it was too early to say if the satellite was working as Pyongyang claimed, adding that the North had been given feedback by Russia after Kim met Russian President Vladimir Putin in September. Still on the foreign scene, the World Health Organization (WHO) has asked China for more data on respiratory illnesses and clusters of undiagnosed pneumonia spreading in the north of the country, urging people to take steps to reduce the risks of infection. WHO said northern China has reported an increase in influenza-like illness since mid-October when compared to the same period in the previous 3 years. Recall that China's National Health Commission last week told reporters that the respiratory illness spike was due to the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions and the circulation of known pathogens, namely influenza and common bacterial infections, that affects children, including mycoplasma pneumonia. Reports say Chinese capital of Beijing, located in the north of the country, is currently experiencing a cold snap, with temperatures expected to plummet to well below zero by Friday, and the city is also showing a trend of multiple pathogens coexisting. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Davina Price.
Thank you, Francis Edet. Good evening. It is business news and my name is Davina Praise Omang. In the news, the South African Reserve Bank decided unanimously to leave its key repo rate steady at 8.25% on November 23, 2023, in line with expectations. This decision aimed to firmly anchor inflation expectations around the target midpoint and enhance confidence in achieving the inflation goal. The bank mentioned that inflation risks remain elevated, while the risks for medium-term domestic growth appear balanced. October's headline inflation surged to 5.9%, nearing the upper limit of the 3% to 6% target range and moving away from the preferred 4.5% midpoint, where it prefers to anchor inflation expectations.
MPC decided to keep the repurchase rate at the current level of 8.25% per year. The decision was unanimous. At the current repurchase rate level, policy is restrictive, consistent with the inflation outlook and elevated inflation expectations. Serious upside risks to the inflation outlook remain.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, is attempting to join the elusive BRICS club in order to become an influential force on the world economic stage. According to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Turga, Nigeria hopes to join the group within 2 years. He also disclosed the country's intention to join other beneficial groups with good and well-defined intentions. The BRICS group originally consisted of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has been aggressively pushing to change the order of the globe's economic structure. The group's primary intention is to dominate the global market by increasing its economic influence. The new BRICS members, added shortly after its annual summit in August, include Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, and the United Arab Emirates, and Nigeria is looking to join this group. Still in Nigeria, Total Energies confirmed an oil leak in its 2.3 million storage capacity Edina floating production storage and offloading vessel. Dr. Charles Ibrahim, country communication manager at Total Energies, disclosed this in a statement. According to him, the incident, which occurred on November 15th, will not affect its daily crude oil production capacity. He added that the incident will not affect its shorelines and communities around the facility. Over now to the Nigerian stock market. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 563.707 million shares and 6,579 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.442 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 32% improvement in volume, 53% decline in turnover, and 1% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 39.1 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 119 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 35 gainers and 19 losers. Better Glass Company led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 59 naira 40 kobo per share. On the losing side, LLAs came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.89% at 3 naira 37 kobo per share. Universal Insurance Company recorded the highest volume of 164 million traded shares. Well, this is all on business news, and back to Francis Edet for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Davina Price. And still to come in the news. Nottingham Forest striker Taiwo Awoniyi out for months with groin injury. To stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every day marks a day of significance.
That in view of the apology tendered by this former minister who had earlier been cleared by this August Assembly,
as we face critical issues, developments and events which shape our social and political landscape here in Nigeria and beyond. Political Spectrum is a program specially designed to help make sense of all the moving parts of developments and occurrences in our nation's polity and political economy.
There is nothing wrong with Nigeria, but there's everything wrong.
The educational history of public figures hold significance beyond mere biographical details.
From executive, legislative and judicial developments at national and subnational levels to international diplomacy and relations.
Join us for exclusive interviews with key political figures, expert opinions, analysts, thought-provoking conversations for and against, shedding light on the major issues that matter. We will always keep you updated on the most factual, smartest and unbiased reportage.
Stay tuned to Political Spectrum. Political Spectrum. All sides matter at the round table. Political Spectrum. Exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Many thanks for remaining with us, and now to the concluding part of our news stories. On our health news, medical experts have raised an alarm over the high rate of antibiotics misuse in Nigeria, lamenting that it has led to a rise in antibiotic resistance. They noted that antibiotic resistance has dire consequences in health and leads to poor health outcomes. Delivering a presentation on antimicrobial resistance and patient safety, lessons from moralities, Professor Mohammed Manga decried the misuse of antimicrobial, which he said may cause resistance. He noted that antimicrobials are among the commonest drugs used in treating human illnesses, adding that infections, especially in low research settings, are very common. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says antibiotic resistance is one of the biggest threats to global health, food security, and development today. According to the global health body, antibiotic resistance leads to longer hospital stays, higher medical costs, and increased mortality. In the meantime, a nutritionist, Uju Onora, says poor nutrition in the first 1,000 days of a child's life can cause irreversible damage to the growing brain. Onora, who said this during an interview with newsmen in Abuja, noted that the first 1,000 days from pregnancy to 2 years is crucial for development. She explained that if not given the right foods, it could affect a child's ability to do well in school. Onora also said that stress, trauma, poverty, and violence experienced during the first 1,000 days could have long-term adverse health effects on a baby. On the kinds of food the mother should eat after childbirth, she advised a balanced diet that contains all the food nutrients for healthy growth. These, according to her, should include lean meat, high-fiber foods, low-fat dairy products, and plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. Now for the latest sports stories, here is Utbed David.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Thank you very much, Francis. In sports, Nottingham Forest boss Steve Cooper says striker Taiwo Awoniyi will be out for months because of a groin injury. The 26-year-old aggravated the problem playing for Nigeria during the international break and has had an operation on the issue. Taiwo Awoniyi has scored 4 goals in 10 Premier League appearances for Forest this season. The former Liverpool forward, Awoniyi is a key player for City ground side, scoring 10 goals to help Nottingham Forest achieve top-flight survival last season. Moving on, Wales will play Finland in the Euro 2024 playoff semi-final in Cardiff on 21st March. The winner will earn a home tie against either Poland or Estonia 5 days later in a playoff final to reach the tournament proper in Germany. Wales missed out on automatic qualification thanks to a 1-1 draw against Turkey on Tuesday, coupled with Croatia's 1-0 victory over Armenia. Wales have enjoyed success in recent playoffs, beating Austria and then Ukraine to reach the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, qualifying for the tournament for the first time since 1958. Wales have only beaten Poland once in 10 encounters, drawing 2 and losing 7. With the solitary success coming in the qualifying for the 1973 World Cup, thanks to goals from Leighton James and Trevor Hockey at the Old Ninian Park. Finally, 16 grassroots teams will ignite the city of Kano and Uyo as the eagerly anticipated inaugural Nationwide League One Cup kicks off later tomorrow. The opening match on Friday between Like Minds FC versus Seal Mines FC and Roro FC versus Jaguar FC kicks off respectively at the Sania Bacha Stadium and the Yo Township Stadium at 10 a.m. The 16 teams have been grouped into 1 and 2. with each having A and B of 4 teams each. After the group phases in Kano and Uyo, the overall winner in Group 1A will take on that of Group 1B in the semi-finals. The same applies to that of Uyo. The overall winner from Group 1 in Kano will trade tackles with the winner of Group 2 in Uyo in the final on 9th December at the Buhari Stadium in Abuja. The NLO Cup will run from Friday 24th November to 9th December 2023. And that's all we have for you on sports this evening. I am Utabe David.
Thank you to David. On our entertainment news, Spanish singer, songwriter Enrique Iglesias is retiring from making music at 48. Addressing fans today, Enrique said his upcoming album, which will be coming out in February, will be his last. Speaking further, the singer said the album is completely finished as he just wants to shoot 1 or 2 videos right before the second leg of the tour and launch it. Recall that since mid-October, the Spanish singer has been on the road with Ricky Martin and Pitbull for the Trilogy Tour, having enjoyed a successful 30-year career in music. Still on entertainment, Hollywood actor Cuba Gooding has been sued by 2 women whose sexual assault cases against him underlay a criminal prosecution that ended with him pleading guilty but serving no jail time. Reports say in a complaint filed in a New York State court in Manhattan, Jasmine Abbey said the Oscar-winning actor forcibly kissed her without her consent in September 2018 while she was working as a cocktail waitress at the Lavo nightclub in Midtown Manhattan. The other plaintiff, Cassie Harbert, accused Gooding of groping her breast in June 2019 at the Magic Hour rooftop bar, also in Midtown. Meanwhile, Gooding pleaded guilty after complying with a plea agreement that required alcohol and behavior modification treatment and no further arrest. Meanwhile, U.S. actor Jamie Foxx is being sued by a woman who is alleging that he sexually assaulted her at a restaurant in New York City 8 years ago. According to the lawsuit, Foxx, whose real name is Eric Marlon Bishop, groped the unnamed woman after she asked to have her photo taken with him. The accuser is suing Foxx for damages, alleging sexual assault, abuse, assault, and battery. Lastly, in the news tonight, there was a fire incident at the home of popular singer Adekunle Temitope, better known as Small Doctor, recently. The singer confirmed the incident on his Instagram story today. He stated that no life was lost, adding in Yoruba that when a king's palace gets burned, it only adds to its beauty. And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Francis Oyima, edit. Enjoy the rest of your evening.